I'm here.
He's here and I'm here.
Hi, it's Pat.
And Kennedy.
And we are 2/5 of the Maine, and there are 3 other people, and we will all be involved in doing a Q&A, answering questions that you had about Forever Halloween.
This question is from Danny, and Danny asked which moment making the album was my favorite. Now obviously I loved the whole process, being able to make the album, being able to work with Brendan was such a privilege and a pleasure. But I suppose a unique kind of moment happened when we were recording our title track on the album called Forever Halloween. We did the album to tape, and basically, for those of you who don't know, you're only allotted a certain amount of tape until that tape is out and there's no more space to record on. So Forever Halloween features an outro of sorts. It's a kind of a progression of 4 chords that is manipulating and morphing and, you know, swirling. It's basically trying to capture the emotion of the album in one last little hurrah. And while we were recording it, the time on the tape, we knew we were getting close to the end of the reel, so we tried to squeeze as much as we could in. And we had played the 4 chord progression for, I believe it was like 3 minutes at the time. And finally, if you hear it on the actual song, the tape stopped, and when the tape stops, it makes a little kind of like a reverse noise, or basically that means that there is no more tape. And instead of doing another take, we decided to just use that. For those of you who believe in fate, I suppose some would call that fate. I consider it coincidence, but either way, it's a moment that will stick out in my brain for some time. Definitely a cool little moment on the record.
This question is from Natalie, and she's wondering what our highest hopes are for this album. And I would say that we're just really excited to put it out and for you to hear it. It was a fun experience making it, and I like all the songs, which is a good thing. And doing it live, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to play the songs actually to people. So yeah, I think just the album coming out is probably the most exciting part.
Julia wants to know what the best and worst parts are of recording everything all together or live. Thank you, Julia. Great question. I think that the best part is that you get you immediately get a photocopy of what the song is going to sound like. You're kind of forced to play your best or at least try. And in the end, it kind of gives the song a pulse. It makes it feel human, if that makes sense. I think the worst parts are that you have to spend the whole day basically setting up to get the take. You have to dial in, you know, drums, bass, guitars, vocals. You have to isolate everything. It's a lot of work to set everything up to go all at once. But or there's the possibility that somebody out of the 5 of us is going to mess up, which definitely happens. So I think that the benefits definitely outweigh the things that could possibly go wrong.
This next question comes from Tanner. He wants to know how we balance progressing as a band and continuing to keep our old sound and just be the same band but also progress. Yeah, I think it comes pretty natural. Yeah, we all get in a room together, and when we play, it's us.
Right. It kind of doesn't matter what the song is, subject matter, or even just like what style of music, what genre it is. If we're playing it, I think there's a sense of how we play is, you know, going to sound like us. And then also, particularly with our music, when John sings, I think that's recognizable. So you know, certain characteristics of his voice are the same. Certain things we do musically
even we may not recognize it sometimes. We maybe have certain tendencies with parts and songs, and so I think there's little trademarks throughout.
Yeah, I think, you know, if you listen from like our first stuff to now, I mean, there's definitely a big difference. But if you listen close, you can tell that we tend to do things a certain way, and we tend to play things a certain way, and we all play together. It tends to sound a certain way. You know, and I guess you can't really escape that because that's us.
This question comes from Karen, and she wants to know, what would our 18-year-old selves say about this new album?
I think they'd be proud. I think they would be surprised that we were able to record how we did and make an album that sounds like this one did. I think, you know, we've reached sonic kind of like elements on this album that I didn't think we would ever kind of get to.
I think our 18-year-old selves would be a little shocked that we're at the place we're at musically.
That would be very, very, very proud. I think they would tell that we were being honest with ourselves and that we didn't continue to make the same album over and over again.
This question is from Bella, and she wants to know the most powerful or emotional song on the album. And I'd have to say it's a song called These Four Words. It's a piano ballad with just John and piano, and it definitely hits home. It's definitely very emotional and really can make you want to cry or be sad, but also maybe be happy. Who knows? But yeah, it's a very emotional song, and I think it's one of the most touching songs John's ever written.
Alright, this question is from Hannah, and Hannah asked, more or less, do I get writer's block or lyric block when writing songs or attempting to? And the answer is, of course. You know, it would be awfully hard to be inspired at every moment of every day. But there is no set cure, but there is no need to freak out. I usually, if I feel like I'm forcing things or am trying a little bit too hard, the best remedy for me personally is just to take a break, remove myself from whatever it is I'm doing, and go do something that requires less brain power. People call it meditation, but even just using your brain's energy for something that requires no effort is good enough for me. And usually it's something unique that'll get me back into an inspired mode. So of course you're gonna have those days where it doesn't feel like it's coming, but it's usually not to worry. Inspiration will find me.
Our next question comes from Natalie. She wants to know if we ever felt like we were taking risks on any of the new sounds with the new record. I think yes. I think anytime you release new music or record new music, there's a risk involved. But I think once we got settled in and got to know the studio pretty well, I think we started to figure out what worked for us as far as how our band sounds and how we've come to sound over the years. So I think all that kind of got washed away after the first few days once we got comfortable and in our zone, and we started doing things that were more so us rather than us just experimenting and trying to figure out what worked.